Well, welcome. Good day, great day. This is For Another Day podcast. I am Rick, and today is Friday, February the 18th, 2022. This is episode 114, and today we are looking at TikTok. That's right. We are looking at the biggest platform in the world and what it affects it has on us. We are also looking at the anxiety, depression, and reduced working memory because of those teens that are addicted to TikTok. Um, we're going to also jump in there and continue a discussion about hashtag thank you Spotify and for the freedom it takes to have a voice, especially online today. And we're also going to answer a question that came from a previous episode about clinginess. So let's go ahead and jump in. So, what is the headline that everyone should be concerned with today? This comes out of SciPost on January the 25th, 2022. It actually comes out of the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, dated August 10th, 2021. So a little bit of a delay there. But headline reads, teens who are addicted to TikTok experience worse depression and anxiety, and in turn, reduced working memory capacity. Big headlines. Nothing that you'll see in mainstream media whatsoever, but one that is of interest because TikTok now has become the number one platform in the world. And so, with this technology, with this platform, they are now showing that it does impair, that's right, impair your brain. So, let's really look at the study and see what they came up with the findings. So, what is interesting is this study among teenage TikTok users found that those who showed addictive tendencies towards the platform performed worse when recalling number sequences. So, this is that working memory that we all have. And the working memory that we can remember a number sequence for 4 digits, for 5 digits, for 6 digits, and then we can remember them backwards. So, this is a study that came out to further suggest that the working memory deficit was also due to increased depression and anxiety. So, as the smartphone and social networking technology continues to take over the world, research is looking at just how you are addicted, and it's not just cultural. This study came out of China, and this is about brain research here. So, Shay and Dong, the two authors here, wondered whether the deficit in working memory might have to do with increased rates of depression and anxiety among avid users of social media. Notably, a large body of research has suggested already that depression and anxiety can impact this working memory capacity. So, with TikTok being a site of over 1.5 billion users, they truly wanted to see what are adolescents with their time affecting their brain. So, this was 3,036 high school students in China who already self reported that they are regular users on TikTok. Um, They even coined the term during the study, using it as a measure, TikTok use disorder, or TTUD, and also addressed factors like interference with daily life and withdrawal, measures of depression, anxiety, stress. They were looking at a comprehensive look here of these over 3,000 students. So what they did is they did a forward and backward digit span test. And this was to assess their verbal working memory. These tests assess students' ability to recall number sequences that were presented to them on a screen and then repeat back to them in the same or reversed order. So, across the sample, students with higher scores for TikTok use disorder performed worse on both forward and backward digit span tests. It suggested that there is a reduced working memory capacity with those with addictive tendencies towards TikTok or social media. These students had higher scores of depression, anxiety, and stress. Just as the researchers hypothesized, depression and anxiety and stress seemed at least partly to explain this problematic use of TikTok. Now, what's amazing here is as they started analyzing the data, they actually realized that there are gender differences that emerge between both males and females. So, among the male only students, stress was not as significantly associated with these scores, especially on the backwards digit span test. Also, although female students had higher scores with TikTok use disorder, male students had higher rates of depression, anxiety, and stress scores, and lower working memory capacity. Now, the studies aren't sure whether the reduced memory capacity seen among the males was due to the higher levels of stress, of some other type of mental distress. Now, of course, this wasn't representative of all Chinese adolescents, and with all research, they always say further research should be done. Even longitudinal studies, which is a study over time of these same individuals, would give them a great light on this relationship between mental health, TikTok use disorder, and memory loss over time. So, what does this mean for us? For the everyday person that loves to listen to podcasts, scroll through TikTok, laugh a little, cry a little, and try to have some emotional connections with others on social media platforms. It means that it really does affect your brain. It really changes how we're hardwired, where brain activity diminishes or where it gains. And so from this, we need to realize that our world is changing at a greater pace than ever before. I mean, if you think about what phones looked like in less than 20 years, how much smartphones have truly changed and revolutionized how we shop, how we eat, how we communicate with others. But what we also have to realize is with this technology, we have to be wary. We have to be wary of how it changes our interactions at the table, that we'd rather text and scroll than talk to the person across from us. We have to be wary that as we've now had a contact list book in address book in our phones, we don't memorize telephone numbers anymore. That digit span test that was there, it was originally 7 digits, and then 10 digits, and then increased for mental capacity. What did we used to do? And I'm going back here a few years, was we used to memorize what a phone number would be at 7 digits, even then at 10 digits. Our working capacity in our memory is diminishing because of technology, because we're not forcing our brain to learn in that way, shape, or form. We're not having to worry about memorization of times tables. There's a calculator for that now. There's an app for that now. So now we're at a point of, where does this take us? And where do you want to do something different? Where do you want to go ahead and change yourself so that your working memory doesn't decrease? Maybe it's putting a limit on how much time or when during the day you use social media. Is it always about being so plugged in and you truly can't deal with the silence? Is that where that anxiety springs from, that you can't deal with the world around you? Or is it something more? You're like, Rick, it's just entertainment. One of the most amazing features that came out with video streaming services like Netflix or Hulu is the ability to play the next episode for you automatically. It's a way to suck you in, to watch not one episode, but 2, 3, or 4 episodes without even realizing it. With very little, if ever, commercial breaks, we're entranced with the other reality of the story that's being presented to us. You know, in a previous episode, I had talked about the dopamine detox and how we need to set limitations for ourselves and help our brains. So as parents, if we're looking at our adolescent teens that are just scrolling through TikTok, maybe it's time to say we need to put it down. We need to do something different and actually do something. Maybe it is about truly spending more time together. Or maybe this is your only point of connection with them. What are they watching that they see as funny from this? What are they willing to share with you from these TikToks or shorts or reels that they're watching? How does this give you a little bit better glimpse into who they are? These are all important questions to start raising, to start realizing, and to start changing. We don't want to look 20 years from now and say, look where we have gone. Look at the direction that took us even further apart, that now has diminished our memory and brain capacity even more. So much so that it affects us in our work and in our social relationships. It's time to change, everyone. I'm willing. Are you? real dark chocolate, and pretzel protein bars that both taste great and nourish us. Nugo offers so many types of bars and cookies for your enjoyment, but I always stick with the best. Plus, it's gluten-free. Click the link below to order yours today. Well, by now, it might have blown over. As I'm recording this episode, the headline of the day is Joe Rogan and Spotify. You know, first and foremost, the hashtag thank you Spotify, I would totally go ahead and agree with that. Spotify, along with its partner Anchor, has truly given a platform to so many individuals. So many that were worried about how and what to say to people. And that's where I wanted to look right now, was how and where do we determine our freedom? You know, today in this postmodern era, with everyone being their own expert, it's become one of those situations where in a room full of experts, we truly have no consensus anymore. But we also don't have any consensus or abilities now for discussion. When a difference of opinion comes, it becomes offensive. It becomes derogatory. And so with our culture today, we need to find a place for free speech. We need to find a place where we can develop many, many different aspects, many, many different opinions, many, many different perspectives, so that we can then weigh what is most important to us. It's then the us that becomes a collective culture. But if you voice the independent voices, you take that ability totally away. Who then moderates then what is right and wrong? A culture of change, a culture that doesn't truly produce thinkers, debaters. I'm here today to say we need multiple perspectives. We need multiple ideas. We need that to be said somewhere. And if it's not Spotify or Anchor or Apple Podcasts, where does it go? I've always had to be very careful about what I say on a podcast. I didn't want to ever get canceled. I didn't want the account to be deleted, especially after all my hard work. But we're now coming to a part where it's not just about being deleted. It's about not having a voice. You know, for years, the FCC would control what went over the airwaves and what words could and could not be used over the airwaves. In talk radio, it was understood what could and could not be said. And then we had the advent of cable TV. We had the advent of satellite radio. And then we had the advent of the internet, where anything can go, anything can be said. But finally, I had this realization yesterday. This realization that as people are squawking about being offended and that it should be canceled, I need to speak up. I need to be able to have a voice to say, well, what's out there right now and what's been out there for the past 5 years, 10 years, I don't like it either. I don't like offensive language personally. That's not me. But you know what? I choose not to listen to the music that says explicit. That's just me. But that's just it. Where are we going to stop as a culture? Where are we going to stop to say, no more explicit songs on Spotify? I'm offended. No more songs actually by any artist by the last name of N. I'm offended by that. It's a very, very slippery slope, and one that we do not want to tread on whatsoever. We want difference of opinions. We want to be able to give a voice to the voiceless, to the powerless, and to those triumphant. We are here to do that. And so I would hope that fellow podcasters out there would stand together and say, thank you, Spotify. Thank you for giving us a platform. Thank you for giving us an ability to let a multitude of perspectives be heard. And I, by no reason, am truly an expert. But who is? I did want to address a question that came to us asking about a previous episode that we had. I think it was episode 112 back in February the 11th. And it was talking about clinginess, long working hours, and lack of personal space as 3 of the most common relationship issues. And this was from this study that we had talked about. But the question came, Rick, what do I do about my clinginess? Well, first of all, I don't know very much about your clinginess. But they wanted to change it. And right there in that capacity, that's huge. It's huge because, first of all, they realize it. Now, whether they've realized that from someone else telling them or self-realization or actualization, it's become one of those that it's then a trait that they realize is malformed, is one of those that is negative for themselves. They don't want to have the clinginess any longer, especially in the relationship. And so it talks then to us as therapists and counselors and those with mental health and coaches and all the such. How do you go ahead and change that? How do you go ahead and observe where the clinginess happens, when the clinginess happens, how the clinginess happens, who does that clinginess happen with? Those whos, the whens, the wheres, the hows, Those are the most important aspects to realize, not the whys. Please don't go down the rabbit hole of the whys. Well, why am I like this? Why is this happening to me? Those are questions that if you have a 4-year-old around or a 3-year-old and there's a why question, it becomes because. Why? Because. Why? Because. There is no true answer to it unless you have understanding of the whole complexity of the issue, which is nearly impossible. So I would really encourage you, look at those how, when, wheres that the clinginess occurs. Then once you know where they're at, then you have to take it and make a strategic plan. Instead of being clingy, what are you going to do instead? How do you want that relationship to actually be enacted? What is it that you treasure in that relationship? What truly makes a difference to you each and every day? And so as you look into the depths of this relationship to find the good, to exemplify and turn up the great, you are putting change in place. Now, if you can't see where your clinginess comes from, that's when it's great to have outside perspectives. That's when it's great to have a best friend that will tell you, are you kidding me? You shouldn't be saying that or doing that. An honest communication there. Maybe it's coming from the partner or spouse, telling them that they need some space because it's too clingy. What is it in your own insecurities that's causing you to always want to be there? Or is it? Or is it that you just enjoy every waking second with that person and you don't want to give it up? See, these are talks and communications that you want to be able to have with that other person, to be able to explore it healthily and to be able to share it. That's what counseling is all about. And then as you figure out the who, the when, the wheres, and you figure out what the good is in the relationship that can be exemplified, that can diminish the time that you have for the clinginess, then it becomes also healing what's inside you. It's in healing those voids, those addictions, those troubles. And sometimes that takes education. Sometimes that takes learning just how to communicate or learning where it all took place in the past, but more importantly, how you can set goals for your future to make positive change occur. So, to the subscriber that went ahead and asked that question about clinginess, I know it doesn't fix what's happening right now, but it is one of those where hopefully you can get a glimpse that positive change needs to happen and that you need help with it. So by all means, reach out, ask for help, do those things that are healthy for you and for the relationship. If you need more tips, tricks, techniques, whatever you want to call them, and you always have questions, put them in the comment section down below. Follow the show notes. There's links in there where you can even leave voice notes to this podcast to be answered on air if you choose. I so appreciate you, the subscribers, not just the listeners, but also the subscribers, those that have been willing to say, I want to come back for more information. I want to come back and hear what else can be done to make this world a better place, to make my life a better life. Also, for you that use that, go ahead and not only subscribe and listen, but those who have supported the show, whether through our links, through our affiliates, or even your monthly or one-time donations, thank you. Thank you for making a difference. And I appreciate you. So, with that being said, I wanted to leave you with a famous quote. This one comes from Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. Peace to you today. See you next time.